Check 1, 2. Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's a pleasure to be before you today. Thank God that He allowed me to see another day to bring another interesting message to you. It's my prayer that what you hear will be a blessing to you and you'll get something from it. You'll be able to share with other people and be inspired. I was thinking, share some tears, moments of my life. I recall a long time ago when I was young, living in the neighborhood that's not degentrification now, in the city of Savannah. I was young, I think I maybe was in my teens, late teens, and I always had a inkling or feeling that I had a special purpose in my life. I used to watch cartoons. There was a particular cartoon that was on TV called Space Ghost. He would have on his wrist like 3 buttons on both arms. And whenever he needed power for certain things, he would hit the little buttons, I guess his bracelet on from his hand up to his arm. And I remember before I logged on that I did the same thing. I put that on my arm. I pretend I was a superhero going around helping people that needed help. And whatever they need, I will push my imaginary. I did have a black marker on my wrist, 3 of them on both hands. I would do like this. And I remember that as though it was yesterday. I'm reminded of that, I guess, to show me, that way back in the day before I was in my 20s, always had a desire to want to help people. Not that I had money, but I just felt that was my true calling, to help people, My Facebook postings, my videos, the purpose is to help people. It's not about drama or pointing the finger at each other. I watch other videos with people centering around themselves and talk about drama, and you see a lot of other YouTube channel will kind of do something similar to what another channel did, just change the title or close to what they saw from another channel. But I feel that my channel, or as I know, is very unique because it points you at you. And I learned that when you talk about you, when you talk about people as an individual, some people don't want to hear it. They stay away from those messages. They stay away from those channels that cause them to focus on themselves. Why? Because they have tears that they don't want to wipe away with the truth. They don't want to wipe away the tears that will make them cry. So they stay away. They don't comment. I've done videos, very few comments, very few people log on, sometimes none. And that's fine. I'm going to continue to plant the seed out there. But I learned it's testing me. How far will I go? Will I continue? And I realized that my life is not my own. Yes, I've done many things, bad and good. Do I regret them? I can't say I regret them because I regret them, but would I be where I'm at today? I don't know. We can go back. So I regret this and I regret that, but does it really do anything for us? I'm just making sure my thing is up. So we must think about the things that we do, the choices that we make. What of impact they're going to do? I was talking to a guy today when I was jogging around the park, and we were talking because he's starting a group to be able to talk, be mentor to young Black males, and he wanted to be a part of it. When he get it going, he's going to invite me in to speak, based on my experience, not Monday morning quarterbacking, from my experience working in the jails, the maximum security prison, and being a former cop, being a patrol officer, responding to calls, and all my knowledge of my own personal experience and stuff that people share with me. And they will benefit. I have spoken in a state facility house where the court system was sending young men that's in trouble with drugs. And I've spoken to them last year a couple of times before the COVID lockdown. So I recognize in my life, I have a purpose in my life. That is to help those who want help, men and women of all races. It has nothing to do with the skin color, say, oh, I don't want to talk to that person. No, it's simply talking, expressing. Some people say, Anthony, who are you to talk? You don't have a college degree. Who are you to tell me this? Who are you to tell me that? You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to sign on. You don't have to go to my channel. You can turn it off. You can switch it off. I only want to help those who want to help themselves. So prior to logging on, I was sitting down thinking about history. History will tell us a lot about ourselves today. There are those who try to erase history so you have no memory of what actually happened. There are those who try to tell you that what you are saying is a lie, it's untruth, and what we say you should accept. What we say you should accept. But then I remember from reading my Bible, God gave us the right to speak. God created you and I. You and I came into existence because it was meant for us to, we had a mother and a father. We did not come from man and woman and woman. We had to have the opposite sex to bring forth each other. You may not like it, but yes, that's the truth. We must understand self. So I thought about history. When the slaves were brought over to this country, they did not have a last name. They took the last name of the slave owner. I did that in my research, discovered that. So your last name may be from a slave owner. We all come from many descendants of people. Our mother and father had a mother and father, and they had a mother and father, and they had a mother and father. So everything has passed down to us. Yes, our mother and father and brothers and sisters, whomever you may think of, is dead. But spiritually speaking, they still live in us because we still have some part of their DNA within us. So I thought about the history of the Black slaves, that the abuse that they went through, to rapes, the molestation, the sodomizing of Black male. That's where the sagging pants came from. Black male acting up, think he's bad. So the slave owner sodomized him in front of the other slaves and made him wear a dress or wear his pants below his waist. And he walk around the plantation and then know he been the term they use called bucking. Do a Google search, you find it. So everything that people are doing, you got young men today say, well, I'm representing. I go in the local malls and I see young men with their trousers below their waist, some pulling up their pants, and they have matching underwears and shirts and shoes and socks, and they think it look cool. But when we know the history, that's not cool. Because you may meet someone who come out of prison, been in there for the rest almost their life, and they're going to see you walking around like that, and they're going to think that you advertising, that you're ready for them. And what if they bother you? You're going to say, oh, I'm not that way, which a young man did told me that he don't go that way, but he just was representing. Representing what? He couldn't tell me. Was he representing something he saw on television, or a rapper or a singer or a movie star? Who knows? So I'm thinking and thought about it. And almost I'm trying to hold back my tears because it kind of bothered me in a way that we live in a world where there are not too many, I would say, I'm not going to say Black superheroes, but back to the slavery thing. I'm quite sure that those slaves wanted to hear a positive message, that they will be free someday, or their children will be free someday. Yes, it's good to tell me about history, but tell me everything about history and let me decide. Don't pick and choose based on your agenda to drive me to follow you, but give me all of it. So imagine a slave being beaten and raped and child taken from them and sold to another family and shipped across the state, never to see their family again. You can believe that they were crying, had no help, had no help. And those who rose up to help were probably killed, they hung, stretched, beaten to their skin, would fall off their body, burned, branded with irons, limbs torn from them, eyes plucked out, beating with sticks and bat and chain like fence, and anything that the person could think of in a form of punishment. Hanged, I saw a picture where they showed slaves hung from a tree and they were skinned alive, burned, damaged, and I felt the tears. I wasn't there, but I can imagine. I can imagine. Think about it. Young men, black and white, and whomever you may be. Think about that. Think about the brutal. Think about what they experienced. They want to hear someone to come out and say, everything's going to be all right. You may not see it in your lifetime, but everything's going to be all right. Everything going to be all right. And then one person decides to stand up. We can read Black History, Sojourner Truth, Booker T. Washington, and others stand up because they saw in themselves that they can be the superhero to speak for the voice of those who cannot speak. I put myself in that category because I've been born for that. What road it takes me down, only God knows. But we need voices of any race to begin to speak up the truth. The truth. When a person is telling the truth, and those who do not like it, it will shut you up. If I'm telling a lie, they're not going to bother me. I'm agreeing with everybody else. But I was saddened when I was thinking about what their experience. Mother, it's not what I'm sharing with you. It's not to cause hate toward any race of people, because I wasn't there and you wasn't there. We cannot take something that happened in the 18 and the 16 and the 1700 and apply it to 21st century. They did not have beepers, cell phone, internet, computer, Wi-Fi, lights like we have, homes and cars. We cannot take that back to the future. If you went back to the future, go back to what exists there. So it's wrong to say we're going to make amends, we're going to make the correction. Who give you the right? Who make you God to decide who life matters or what a person should experience? The seeds that you plant and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that to rectify a situation, going to come back on you. So I'm quite sure those slaves, women, and children, and I can imagine no female was off limits. If the child or girl could walk and breathe, it was able, she too was raped and abused. May have been raped by many men, passed around, sold around, and nobody at that time spoke up for them until years later. I walk around, I drive around the city in all the places I have stayed and lived, and I see I'm not perfect. I'm not near from it. I did a lot of things that I know I should have done, but I've grown up spiritually maturing, and I see the things that's being done out there, how people are behaving. They're behaving as they want and doing what's right in their own eyes. There's no voice that I can think of. There may be few in the closet, and those who say they speak for us, are they really speaking for us? Are they selectively speaking for us? There's a difference. When you selectively speak for us, you're going to say just enough to make me happy, to please me, but you're not going to say too much to get thrown off the internet or thrown off the TV show or get your contract taken away or whatever. You're going to give me the appearance that you for me, but you're not. So we live in a world that's an illusion. We live in a world where people are doing what's right in their own eyes. I know in the sound of my voice there are people out there that's crying, physically crying from the death of a loved one. No food, no place to stay, no money. Father have abandoned the children. The children don't know who their father. People are sick. Someone just buried someone. We're living in a world where we don't see often unless some famous person dies, we hear it on TV. But in your community, there are many people that have tears. If you take your eyes off yourself and begin to look at others, you see that you're in a better shape than them, or they can help you. But what gets us in trouble, we are afraid to admit that we need help. So that's why I named the channel Hidden Tears Family, because we all have some form of physical tear that comes down our eyes, or an emotional tear, or a behavior where we are crying out for help. Some people say, like me, I speak for me, say, I don't need no help. There's nothing wrong with me. But yet, we do need help. And that's the first hurdle we must jump over, or recognizing that we need help. So we all have tears. Women, male, female, of all races have tears. So let that sink in. Let it sink in. When you're in your car and you walking or you're going someplace, are you so concerned about you and don't care about nobody else? That may be your choice, and you're going to live with it, and you're going to continue to do that. Are you going to step over people and do whatever you want to do to get what you want? That's a tear in itself, because you have decided that you're going to take. So our behaviors, physical behaviors, and the things we say and do not do can be classified as a good behavior. Good, people say, cry, 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 just let it out. You'll be good. Just cry, cry. You feel much better when you let the tear out. And yes, at times it does make you feel better. But lack of knowledge gets us in trouble. Lack of knowledge gets us in trouble. And we don't have the knowledge in certain areas, people can take advantage of us. So we must educate ourselves. Educate yourself in all aspects of the letter from A to Z. At least you have the information. So when people come to you and try to get you to do this or say that, you can say, oh, no, 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 I did my homework. If you're waiting for a specific person to verify something that you have not did any homework on, you'll be waiting for years because they have an agenda. Begin to wake up and do your own research. Wipe away those physical tears. Wipe away those abusive tears, emotional tears, and physical tears, and seek your freedom by accepting the truth. So I'll pick a few chapters out of the book I'm going to read and make comment on. The first one, I want to thank God and Mom. This is how I wrote it. Hey, Tyler, how do you feel about being accepted by the national football team? Is there anyone you want to thank in particular? I want to thank my mom for being there for me through my discouragement, pain, and uncertainties. If she was not by my side, I do not know what I would have done. She has been a great support for me in addition. I want to thank God for giving me his strength to endure my pain. Without it and what my mom gave me, I do not know where I would be today. As I listened to that young man thanking his mom for all that she had done, I was saddened. I never heard my child saying, I want to thank my father for being there for me. He was an inspiration and a great role model. From time to time, I heard movie stars, athletes, singers, and people in powerful positions. I want to thank my mom. And I wonder, where are the fathers? Did the father abandon a child? I did. I watched him or her grow up from a distance to accomplish things that I had never done. And then I heard them say, I want to thank mom and God. I was ashamed of myself. I was only concerned about me. I was full of pride. Those words, I want to thank mom and God, ring out in my mind to this day. God and my child, mom, were the inspiration that propelled my child to overcome the abandonment. I cried in my self imposed prison, in my self imposed exile from my child, my mom, and God. I do not deserve to be included in this thanks. Where was I when my child needed me? I cannot undo the years I missed with my child. Understand why he would say, I want to thank God and mom. And yes, I wrote that from listening to, I put it in a story. You do hear movie stars and athletes and sometimes singers when they do their national, when they do these awards ceremonies, you know, I want to thank God and I want to thank my mom. And very rarely you hear, I want to thank my father. Where's the father? You, father, right now, where are you? Are you really a part of your child life if you live in the same location where they are? Have you really been active in their life? Even if you are married and left your child, abandoned your child, do you have an opportunity to go back? How do you know if you didn't try? Are you a father that ride down the street and see your child and you know it's your child and keep riding? And your child is crying out when he says, I want to thank my mom. I want to thank God. If it wasn't for those two, I don't know where I would be today. There are young men in prison, in jail, who grew up without a father to teach them fatherly things. They only learned from their mother. The street became their babysitter, and the street became their father. And that's all they know. They sought protection and comfort, and they were somebody. And look where that got them in jail, like I mentioned in one of my chapters 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 20 in life, regretting the choices that they made. Those tears are still out there. They are out there right now. They have not gone away. It's out there. People crying. When I was working in a prison, I was looking in the shower, and I was because the prison I worked in, you in there by yourself with 150 plus individuals. I used to always say, "Sir," and I watched them and their behaviors, and I never saw anyone crying. I'm quite sure to get letters. Some of them have visitations. Some are in there for life. Some are never getting out. Some are in there for years. Those friends who they hung out with, who claim to be their friend, don't visit them. The wife or the girlfriend may come just to show up for whatever reason and go back out in the world. She may be married or she may be dating someone else. And he looks through the window, depending on where he's visiting. They may have visit between tables. And he looks and he has to leave. And he look back and he see his loved one. And I'm quite sure in the back of his mind, he was crying. He was crying. Tears flowed from his eyes, and he was crying, but he was not showing it. He was not showing it because he knew if he cried openly, that image would say, hey, so and so was crying. Man, he a wimp. He this or that. You know, grown men don't cry. Boys don't cry. Toughen up. See, go back to his cell. And I thought, when do an inmate cry? I imagine they go into the shower and the water's flowing down their head and face. Later on that day, after seeing their loved ones, they cry. Not the ooh, but the cries that comes down your eye where you don't make a noise. You do one of these numbers and gap, feel, and he regrets his choices. Some say I'm gonna get out and don't come back. That may be true, and some do come back. But what did I'm getting at? I want to thank God and my mom because my father was not around. As this story I share with you. And another one, I call it Help Me. Help me, help me, help me. I cried, I heard this cry from the depths of my soul when I did what I wanted without considering the consequences. Was this a cry to be rescued from my self-imposed behaviors that were not good for me? Did I really want help? Was I sorry for the people I had hurt? When I asked for help, do I really want the help? Or do I refuse it because it required me to accept what is needed to be rid of the cause of my problems? I could not help myself. So from deep within, a yelling was occurring. I remember a television show called Tarzan. He lives in the jungle, and when he needed help because he was in trouble or was helping others, he would yell out in noise. Various animals heard the yell and ran toward the noise to help him. You know, oh, I thought about Tarzan yell and hollering for help and how it relates to me. When I was committing all kinds of sinful sins, I too was yelling out for help. And the help I wanted was not the kind you were thinking about. I was yelling for help in a way that I'm just now learning to understand. For example, when I was committing fornication out of marriage, I enjoyed it and I yelled out for more. Like the animals in the Tarzan show who came to his rescue. I too had my own female animals that came to my rescue. They heard me spiritually and came to help me to continue in my sinful behaviors. They gave me some assistance. They did not improve my condition. They reaped their pleasure, and so did I. I want to remind you that we all have an animal nature that is always yelling out for help, either to contribute to the fulfillment of the need or to further the effort to drown out of the pain, out of the unmet need. I am not this body. You and I are spiritual beings living inside a physical body. Our behavior are driven by spiritual forces, either God or Satan. We are not in some neutral place where we are not responsible for our sinful behaviors. We have the power. We have the choice. We have responsibility. Years ago, from now, I learned that the place within my mind is not a perfect place. There always will be a warfare, fear, mistrust within our mind, but the heart can see clearly through any storm. We can choose from where we, we can choose from where to base our actions. Help me, help me, help me, help me, help me, help me. These stories I created, putting myself in some of them, trying to visualize what people are going through. And I'm sure that I hit home to a lot of people. A lot of people. We're living in 2021. We're living in a world where things are going in all directions. People are doing what they want to do. People are crying out. People are crying out in various ways, not destructive ways. You can say destructive ways, but going a destructive way is not good because you're damaging and hurting people. Peaceful protesting, peaceful voicing your concerns, revealing the truth, showing the truth is what we should be doing. So I sit here today to share my tears. My tears. Bring me back to the time when I was young and I paint on top of my hand little blocks, pretend I was Space Ghost. Superpower, pushing buttons here, doing this. You probably don't remember it, but it was a show called Space Ghost. You probably Google it, YouTube, and you might see it. We all have a purpose in life. Are you a superhero and don't know it? Are you a superhero in a way, not superhero in the mean of standing in front of a bullet? No. Are you an individual that can make a difference, but you are afraid to because you don't want people to look at you? You don't want, as one would say, the image that they may project, or you don't want the headache. But think about the slavers. Someone saw a need and they stand up and they say, I'm going to stand up. I'm not sitting in the back of the bus. I'm going to walk across the bridge. I have a dream that someday that things will be better. We too can make a difference. One person can make a change. So it's my prayer that what you heard will stir you up, cause you to think. Share it with your friends. Allow them to hear what you heard because they need it. Don't say they don't need it. Don't think for them. Give it to them. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification button. I'll be back tomorrow, God willing, up till Friday, because Saturday I'll be at the outlet located in Savannah, Georgia, at the Get Your Roots store, selling my books. I'm letting it go for $10 because I want you to know. If I run out, you can always give me a name and I'll contact you or whatever. We can discuss that when you come. But I want you to hear. Listen to all 1, 2, 3. I think this is part 5. And be blessed from it. I have no power to make you do anything. I can't beat you over the head. I cannot push it down your throat. You have to want to feed. And if you are afraid to listen to anything I've said, then ask yourself why. You say, oh, that's your opinion, Anthony. I'm not going to listen to your opinion because I have an opinion. Yes, you have an opinion. I have an opinion. But whose opinion is right? To say we disagree, to agree, both of us walk off into the sunset thinking we both are right. So what is the common denominator that will say, you are right, I'm wrong, or vice versa? We must compare and look in the Word of God. The Word of God is the ultimate ending to your opinion and my opinion. You're going to be right, or I'm going to be right. But most people don't go that route. They say, I'm right because that's how I feel, think, believe, what's in it for me, and how it benefits me when it comes to their decision. But I'm not afraid to say the choices that you and I make, the words that you and I speak, can hurt us, harm us, and hurt other people. We did not get away with it. We do reap the consequences of everything that we say and do that goes against God. We may not commit a crime to get us physically arrested, but we will experience. Either our children or their children will experience. So We live in a world where we need to begin to hear anyone of any race begin to speak up and say, cry out for help. You have a problem. This is my list. If I'm saying something to you that you recognize that you need help, seek the help you need. I know people personally that needed help, didn't want no help, talked around the help, have killed themselves because they didn't want to help. Some people commit suicide, take drugs, drink themselves to death, smoke themselves to death, or whatever, kill themselves and never be heard of, vanish into not thin air, but leaves. So we all that's living in this world, it's not a black and white thing. The air that you breathe is not black and white. If you believe that the air is racist, then guess what? Should the air bypass your house? If the air could talk, if the air can distinguish that, oh, I'm blowing around in the wherever you live right now, oh, that's a black person, that's a Mexican, that's a Jewish person, that's an Italian person, that's a Spanish person. Oh, I'm going to go around them person's neighborhood and I'm not going to let them breathe in my air. And they're going to eventually pass out and die. But you may think that's funny. I read an article where someone said that people of color will be affected because of July the 4th, barbecues and the fireworks, because the smoke will hit their neighborhood more than it hit another neighborhood. Think with your emotions. People believe it. Some people believe it. When you begin to think without your emotions, that doesn't make sense. So I'm cooking my barbecue in my backyard. I'm setting off fireworks. My neighbor's setting off fireworks. And I just read an article that said that my cooking my barbecue and my fireworks or their fireworks is prejudice toward people of color. So you telling me that the smoke from the barbecue chicken or pork chop or whatever, or the fireworks has a mind of its own and say, okay, I'm going to attack the people of color neighborhood. They got to go in the air, so we're going to skip. So you're telling me that the other minority has a dome over them physically or this location, and it just go over them and affect the people of color? Think doesn't make sense. Begin to think with facts. Don't believe what you hear. Do your homework. Don't believe in anything I say. You say anything, why you say don't believe in anything I say? Because I don't want you to do your own homework. Don't do your homework. See what I'm saying is a lie. Think about what I'm saying. Is it a lie? Have you experienced? Are you seeing it now in your life? The things that I shared in all these videos, if you listen to all of them, it may not affect you directly. If you can say, yes, I see myself, I see so-and-so, or that person in my children, in my father, in my husband, even in me, even in so-and-so who died, then I'm telling you the truth. So if you like what you heard, comment, hit the subscribe button, share. I want you to share with people. It's not about going viral. If it go viral, go viral. That's not my intention. If it's my intention to have viral videos, I would stop 196 videos long time ago. Because some of them has not been watched. But I keep going. So maybe I will have my Space Ghost moment where I will push my imaginary buttons on my arm and zap the spiritual forces to break down the wall. And people begin to say, I need the truth. And I'm going to listen to where they come from. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. God willing, I'll be back tomorrow.